Thanks, everybody. I haven't got anybody on yet, but I'm sure somebody might come on later. Thanks to the council for coming tonight. And this is our last, I guess, official meeting, unless for some unknown reason we have to call another one before the end of the year. So I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and whatnot. It's good to see everybody. It's unfortunate. This is a time of year we usually try to do a little socialization afterwards, but it's not going to work out this year, obviously. But on that front, cases were down a little bit today in Wellington, and we're down to 7. So that's not too bad from 10 yesterday. So we're seeing some of our actions bear some fruit. Certainly the vaccinations are out there and they're starting that process. There's some good news today about the next one coming up. It looks like it's going to be approved by Health Canada fairly shortly. And there might be some more doses of that coming out. So that's good news. And we just keep our heads down and make sure we do as well as we can in the next little while. And we've had that talk with the public, and I think the public's listening. So that's the good news. So I'll call the meeting to order. Any disclosure, any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Deputy Mayor Turton.
Yes, I would like to disclose item number entitled 7A. Sorry, 7E.
7E.
Has
correspondence
with the Rossley Moorfield Darling International Canada Inc. And it's a request for the town of Minto consideration of resolution to support for Rossley Moorfield. And I'm an employee of Rossley, so that's why I'm declaring.
Okay, and I guess when that happens, when we do this, Deputy Mayor, just to turn your video off. And
I know what to do. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That'd be great. Super. So I have moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the minutes of the November 10th, 24th, and the Town of Minto budget meeting and the minutes of the December 1st, 2020 Town of Minto council meeting be approved. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Good. Passed. Additional items, I have one. Anybody else, just let me know. Why don't I'll just wait to the end and everybody can just go ahead and do it if they got something, okay? Thanks. No public meeting, no delegations. Correspondence received for information requiring direction of council. Now, I want to poll actually 7E. And probably I'll just talk to 7D. Is there any other ones that anybody wants to poll? Judy?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pull 7A.
Okay, yep. All right, those 3. All right, so I'll start with 7A. We can get that up on the screen or on your things. And what did you want to talk about there, Judy?
I just wanted to ask council's endorsement to support the Township of Howick with our own statement. And this is basically they're asking that anyone who installs a drain within our town, a farm drain, that they would have to file that plan with the municipality. Because when somebody buys a property, they sometimes will ask for that information. They'll ask the town, and if there was no loan on that drain when it was installed, or if it wasn't a municipal drain, then there's no record kept at the municipality currently. And so there's a sort of an expectation that maybe the town would have that, or the municipality at least. And then there are some other benefits too that are listed on the first page at those bullet points to the municipality as well. So I was just wondering if we could endorse that and send out the letters as noted on the first page, or on the second page, sorry.
Yep. Okay, anybody else want any more discussion on that? Any concerns? I agree with you, Councillor Dirksen. I think that's a great idea because we've seen that already, that's happened in the past where unfortunately there's a drain that nobody knows about. So
yeah, and or sometimes there's or, yeah, nobody knows about the drain, or there's a drain that's, some people think is there and it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I think it's a good idea. And then I noticed, I was reading today that the minister, the ag minister, he's, what was it? The act, I don't have the wording right, I don't think, but the act is actually going to be opened in January anyway. So this is perfect timing to
Oh.
get an amendment made, because they don't just open acts just because.
No.
So
So is the Municipal Drain Act's going to be open? I didn't hear that.
it's, I'll see if I can find it and then I will.
Well, that's fine. No, that's a good heads up, and we'll have to get staff to make sure they see that, because
Yeah.
I'd like to change
Yeah,
some
just
of that myself.
Yeah, it just came late this afternoon, but I can flip it over to Mike if you'd like, and then. you
That'd
can
be
see.
great. That'd be super.
So I
Okay.
don't, is it appropriate for me to make a motion then? That
Yes, please. Yep.
I would do that then.
Mm-hmm. Judy makes the motion, second by Councillor Anderson. Or did you want to speak, Jean? Okay. All in favor? And we'll let the staff go ahead and create the note from us, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
That's good. Excellent. And what was the other one? Was it just my two? Yes, D. I just want to bring everybody's attention to that. We're really excited at Westeria that we have our new CEO in place, and Jenny brings a lot of experience. As you saw from the letter, she was with Metrolinks, and she's been with a lot of other organizations. She teaches at the University of Guelph. Very smart, very innovative type person. So we're looking for a lot of neat things coming from Westeria with her new leadership. So just wanted, and what we'll do is she wants to come to council sometime just to present to council. So we'll organize that in the new year through Zoom or whatever. So good news at Westeria. Any other questions on that? That was just for information. And the next one, this is the one I will pull 7E, and I guess, yeah, Deputy Mayor Turton's off. Okay. So has everybody had a chance to read this, and any discussion around it? I'll open it up. Councilor McKenzie.
Oh.
No.
Yep, okay. I'm just going over their motto. First of all, it says sustainable solutions for a greener tomorrow. And here they are asking Minto to endorse an expansion and turn a blind eye to their compliance and environmental issues. So I don't think they're closing. It's just a new initiative here, an expansion they would like to do, and they don't want to comply to the direction from the ministry. So that's my feeling on it.
Okay.
That's
Anybody?
my take on that anyway, George.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Derek, do you want to speak to that at all? Because you were, or do you, from a staff standpoint,
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through to you to council. I did receive a call from Ross A. Moorfield. They are in the middle of a conversation with the ministry around an expansion and a number of items as it relates to that expansion. What was expressed to me was that if the plant was to close, there would be significant economic impact to all three communities, Mapleton, ourself, and Wellington North. All three CEOs received the same letter, and it was presented to council to ask for endorsement to say that there would be an economic impact to the communities if, in fact, that plant was to close. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's the conversation that took place, Mr. Mayor.
thank you. Judy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it really goes beyond that. This is a huge service to the agricultural community really across Ontario. And like I agree with what you said, Mr. CIO, but on a broader sense, it's really a big issue for agriculture as well. I know that Ross A. has spent millions of dollars on odor suppression and so on. And for those of us who have lived here for a while, it's certainly a lot nicer driving by now than what it used to be a number of years ago. So I think that they are working at it. It's going to be tough not to have some odor there just because of what they are doing, but they are providing a huge service. And if they weren't there, the stench would be pretty bad in a lot of areas. So I think I would certainly support this and be willing to make a motion when the time comes.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to comment on it? Councilor McKenzie?
I don't read anywhere where they're saying they're closing. They want support for this, the expansion. So
I
of
think,
course we don't want them to close,
I think
but
there,
we can't support a non-compliance environmental issue.
no, and I don't think we're trying to do that, Councilor McKenzie. I think what the letter and what they want is to tell you that they've been a fairly good player. And I'm with Judy on this. I mean, over the years, I remember you couldn't drive through there without having your windows closed and all the work they've tried to do. And it is something that's needed. We needed to, what do you do with animals and stuff like that if you want to recycle them into the system? And so I don't think we're saying that we're against them having negotiations with MEO, but what they're saying, I think, in their letter is it becomes a little bit less economically viable if they don't get some support or at least some relief from the environmental people, or at least have a better look at it with them. I think they want to work with them. I don't think we're saying that we're anti-environment. Derek?
Yeah, thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so the way that the letter is worded is just in that council will not comment on their ongoing conversations with the ministry, but certainly council can send a message that there is an economic benefit to our communities if they were to close. So that, I think that's fairly clear, and I couldn't recommend to you to involve yourself in a tribunal. That wouldn't be professional of me to recommend it to you, but the way that it's worded as far as saying that there is an economic benefit to the community is fine.
Yeah, and I think that's what I read into. I think that's Councilor Dirksen is saying, not only is it jobs, it also is a viable service that has to be for the agricultural community. Anybody else want to speak on it before Mark? Let me go around the table here first. Anybody else want to speak on it? Councilor Elliott.
Are they asking for anything? That we put it in a receipt for information? I don't, that seems to me they're just making us aware. And they're not asking us either way that I see.
I think they're asking for support.
Are they asking support? I didn't see it that way.
Derek, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I think the intention of the request, Councillor Elliott, is that they want council to pass a resolution of support for the economic benefit of the company and what it brings to the community.
But not the expansion.
Correct.
Councillor Gudson.
If it's on paragraph 6 on the first page is what they're seeking. So they're not in support of technical or legal merits of the appeal, just seeking support and recognition of the importance of sustainable operations and services in the communities we operate.
Exactly. Thanks, Jeff.
Okay.
Councilor McKenzie, you have another comment? I'm sorry. I just wanted to get around the table there.
Certainly, that's fine.
Yeah.
So they're not without the expansion, they wouldn't be asking for this request. They're not closing that I see. If they were, they should have said so in their request that they're going to close if they don't get this. I don't read that. So of course we don't want them to close. It's a boost to everybody surrounding them. And they're going to use our endorsement like everybody else that may respond in court when they appeal this tribunal. They have to go for the environmental. If they were going to close because of this, I'd have a different view of it, but they're not saying that.
Well, I guess maybe let me clarify, Councilor McKenzie. Are you just you're not supporting the fact that we're not actually supporting the tribunal thing. We're not even talking about that. We're just saying that they're an economic value to the community. Whether
They
they're
certainly
closing
are.
or not doesn't really matter. I mean, not at this point in time. I'm just saying, I don't know what their business plans are. I
But they're
don't
going to
know.
use this when they go to court.
Well, I think they're asking that and I think that's a true statement, what we're asking. Go ahead, Councillor Dirksen.
I was just going to say that it's really up to the ERT, the Environmental Review Tribunal, to make those kinds of decisions. That's not really what they're asking us to do. They're just asking us to support a letter of resolution and to say that they are an economic engine in our community, which is absolutely true.
It certainly is.
And so I think that's all they're asking.
That's
And I think
that's what I got. We're not getting into the environmental stuff. That's as far as I'm
Yeah.
concerned.
So to me, this is pretty easy to support as
Yeah.
as written, and the Environmental Review Tribunal will make those kinds of decisions about
Exactly.
doing.
Okay, has everybody had enough discussion on it? Can I call for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Councillor Dirksen, seconder. Councillor Gunson, all in favor of supporting the motion? Opposed? Okay. Are you opposed, Councillor McKenzie?
Yeah, I don't, yes.
Okay, all right, okay, just want to make sure. Okay, all right, that's passed. Okay, so Derek, that's all it is just what they've asked for, so
Certainly, Mr. Mayor, we will endeavor to write that up.
thank you. Okay, that's correspondence. And now I have a motion, I guess, to accept the correspondence as received. Moved by Councillor McKenzie, second by Councillor Gunson, that Council of the Town of Minto receives the correspondence for information. All in favor? Opposed, of any? None. Okay, good. Moving on, reports. And first of all, I keep this one. This is Belinda. Where is she? There she is. Thanks, Belinda.
Good evening, Mayor Bridge and members of council. I'm just going to highlight some things out of our minutes from last Thursday's economic development meeting, which was our last meeting of the year. So right off the top is the completion of our surveying for the BRNE COVID survey we just did. That wrapped up officially yesterday. At the time on Thursday, we had completed 111 surveys in Minto across all sectors. Most of those were over the phone, but for anyone that couldn't do it over the phone or beat us to it, they did complete it online. So the next step is basically reviewing those results in January. We did share results with the committee as they were up to date at that time on Thursday anyway. In case anything changed though, we're going to look at them in January as well as at a county level to begin to form some actions around that. And just today, the province announced the next round of RED funding. So we should be ready with our actions to apply for that funding and take advantage of that. Also, we did present the committee with our year in review. We have some final figures to get to make it a full year. So we will present that in January to all of council. But wanted to point out that that was Taylor's last meeting. As you know, she is going on maternity leave starting next Wednesday. And Summer and I are going to be at the helm for 4 months, trying to fill her shoes until Aaron Raftos joins us in May. So we're very excited to have Aaron coming on board then. And then just some notes out of the roundtable stuff. I wanted to note that Ashley Noble, who is our digital Main Street service squad person, she worked across Mapleton, Wellington North, and Minto, was able to help 50 businesses in our area be successful recipients of the digital transformation grant. So that's $2,500 that will help our businesses get online and enhance their online presence. So that is a great number. Also coming out of this meeting was a strong shop local and the importance of in the next quarter from January to March. It's a hard time for businesses already, but it will be even more so this year. So what can we do to encourage shopping local and getting money to those businesses any way we can? And then another exciting thing that's just getting started here is our partnership with Saugeen Economic Development Corporation and the Chamber and Launch It continues to expand. And we're really excited with the launch of this Business Resurgence program. Several of the components of this program were ideas that Summer and I put together after speaking to our businesses during the BRNE project. And We are going to be rolling out here a digital coaching person that's going to be meeting. People can apply and they get 5 hours of the digital coach's time to help them actually get very familiar and have like a plug and play digital presence. And also Harold, our business coach, people can apply to meet with him for 2 hours of coaching time as well. So that's exciting. And then further down the road here, we're going to have more announcements coming soon around women's programming and succession programming coming out of our Saugeen Connects partnership. So lots of great programs coming up for businesses here in the next couple months. And the committee also approved or recommended for you to approve a sign grant for Rock and Dukes, which is a new pet store in Palmerston, and for Kathy Butcher, a Sun Life financial rep who has been at Launch It for a year and a bit and will be launching out into her own space on Main Street. So we'll be looking for a new tenant and happy to support those businesses. Any questions?
Thanks. Thanks. Any questions for Belinda? Seeing none, Belinda, I must say one comment and a little teaser there. Anybody that was sitting on the committee saw your year-end review. I know it's all not totally done. You're going to tweak some of the numbers, but at our next meeting, I think everybody be very impressed with what went on in economic development last year. So thanks very much for your work and your team on that. Okay. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The Council of Town of Minto receives the Economic Development Planning Committee minutes of December 10th, 2020 and approves any recommendations contained therein. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Carried. Thanks, Belinda. I'll turn the chair over to Ron. Where's Ron? There he is. Parks and Rec Advisory.
I'll unmute.
Yeah, I'll mute up.
It's a privilege for me to introduce Matt Lubers, and he's our head of recreation and facilities manager. And Matt, go ahead and tell them what we've been doing.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. So as PRAC, we met a couple of weeks ago back on Monday, November 30th. A couple of highlights. Sadly for the Norgan, we are now closed under red. And even if we were still orange, it's looking like March or April at the earliest now for feature films. Minor hockey did shut down for 4 days in November, plus an additional week for one age group out of an abundance of caution. We are red, as mentioned, and we are allowing permissible rentals and programming at the arena until Christmas. Minor hockey, figure skating, rentals with 10 or fewer participants who are not playing team sports. The atmosphere is certainly quite different from this time last year. So we have 3 more days of after school programming before we take a 2-week holiday. Work at the Youth Hub in Palmerston continues, and we're looking at mid-January as a target opening date, a little later than planned, but not necessarily a bad thing now that we're in red. We discussed recreation rates, which is on the agenda a little later. We're not proposing any major increases in any of the areas of recreation for the most part. We are looking at type instead of time and location of event pricing in 2021 for auditorium rentals, if we're allowed to have them based on where things go. And we meet again in January over Zoom at the end of the month.
That's it, Matt?
That's all I have.
I'll read the motion and then we'll have questions. Moved by Councillor Dirksen and seconded by Councillor Anderson that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Parks and Recreation minutes of November 30th, 2020 and approves any recommendation contained therein. Now I'll ask for questions or comments. Yes.
Thank you, Chair Elliott. I'm just wondering about the vandalism. How serious was the vandalism in Clifford and Palmerston?
Through Councillor Elliott, the vandalism wasn't too bad. In Palmerston, we had some people that thought it would be fun to do some donuts on the soccer pitch, which is a bit of a pain to repair. In Clifford, there were some youth gaining access to the Rotary Pavilion roof, kind of just goofing off a little bit, and they did do some damage to the one door at the one corner of the pavilion, but nothing Nothing in the hundreds or thousands of dollars, but just more nuisance than anything.
So we did have a tree damage at the back of my place, and the lights, they were cut over the summer. So that's some of the vandalism, and I think they've been kicking over urns on Main Street. They just pick them up and fix them. Somebody stole some different things out of the pots, and we found out who it was and made them put it back. So it was kind of neat that they did that. Just your normal run of the mill guys that are unplugging lights and plugging lights, putting them back in, that kind of thing. Big damage was in the soccer field, I guess, Matt, eh?
It's for whatever reason, it's something that people find entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, all in favor of that motion? Those opposed? Carried. And chair, back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Elliott. And now up, we have staff reports. And the first one up is I'm pleased to talk about the chief building official's letter of endorsement. And Terry, did you want to speak to this or?
Sure, I can give you a quick update or overview what's going on.
Great.
So as mentioned in my report, I've been nominated to the board of directors with the OBOA, and the existing board members have accepted that nomination. For those of you who don't know, the OBOA is an organization that represents building officials across the province, and they deal directly with different ministries about code changes and the impacts that they may have on both municipalities as well as ratepayers. Having local representation on the board is a benefit to Minto, as we'll know what's coming down the pipe before it actually happens. So we kind of can get a step ahead. The work commitment involved with being on the board of directors is mainly after hours, with the exception of meetings. Fortunately, the meetings are all over Zoom at the moment, so the time commitment is drastically less than what it normally would be. Due to council's previous approval, I have had many different positions with the OBOA, more on a local chapter element at the moment, being both the chair of our local building officials chapter previously, as well as teaching numerous courses across the province. So to me, being on the board of directors, it's kind of the next step in my progression with the building officials industry. So having said that, the last step that I need to complete in order to be on the board of directors is a letter of endorsement from council. The OBOA wants to make sure that there is support behind the different board directors to be on the board to fulfill the position. So as such, I'm just looking for council support for that.
Thanks, Terry. Any, and I got a motion to, I'll read the motion and then we'll have a discussion. Moved by Councillor Gudson, second by Councillor McKenzie. The Council of the Town of Minto receives the Chief Building Officials report dated December 7th, 2020, and provides a letter of endorsement to permit Terry Kuipers to serve on the Board of Directors for the Ontario Building Officials Association. And my first comment would be, Terry, I think it's a great, and it's worked out in the past for us. I do believe that if our staff people get on these boards, they can actually bring some good direction, especially from a rural lens and a small town lens. So I think it's great. Go ahead. Deputy Mayor Turton, did you want to
Yeah,
speak?
thank you, Mayor. I agree with you. I mean, congratulations to you, Terry, to be elected to the OBOA. I mean, it takes people like yourself and people in the system to keep the OBOA running. I would think likely if you weren't willing to stand and be a part of it, and other folks had that same opinion, why, how would it function? So congratulations to you and good luck.
Absolutely, thank you.
Councillor Dirksen, did you want to speak?
I guys already said it and I agree 100%.
Great. Okay. So all in favor? Opposed of any? No. Congratulations, Terry.
Great, thank you very much.
Well deserved. Okay. All right, next up, I turn you over to Councilor Dirksen.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have an item on the agenda this evening, and I'm going to call on, I'm not sure whether it's a tag team, but our water foreman and our sewer foreman to give us the report.
Thank you, Councillor Dirksen. Tonight's report's just to share the results of our tender for 2 pickup trucks we're looking at replacing, one in the water department and one in the wastewater department. So in the report there, you'll see the results of the tender. We received 3 tenders. So after reviewing them, we recommend that we move ahead with Larry Hudson's for a total cost of $25,868.70 and that's for both units. If there's any questions?
Okay, are there, yeah, that's a net price for the 2 of them. Yeah, and the information is there and is quite complete, I think. Does anybody have any questions? Maybe I'll read the motion first here. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton and seconded by Councillor Elliott. The council receives the December 15th, 2020 report, tender results for trucks 2020-08 and 2020-09 from the water foreman and sewer foreman, and approve the purchase of 2 new vehicles from Larry Hudson Chevrolet at a total cost of $25,868.70 plus HST. Sorry, that's my landline. Can't really do that either, can I? Okay, are there any questions? Councillor Elliott.
Yes, the question I have is, man, that's a lot cheaper than the other bid. Is it the same truck? You getting something less, or is it everything you want in it?
So
Yeah, I know. I asked if there were wheels included, but anyways, go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
yeah, so they met all the requirements that we laid out in our tender, and Mark and I also were concerned, had the same concerns. We actually went over and had a look at the units. Yeah, I think they're gonna work for what we need for sure.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Elliott. Is there any other questions? Are there any other questions? Sorry. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to call the
I
question.
think Dave might have one.
Yes, thank you, Chair Dirksen. I
Sorry, it was on my screen, sorry.
can't see my hand.
Yeah, no, I did not.
I mean, I had the same question. I don't understand why the GM product is, it's not a lot cheaper than the Chrysler product, but I mean, when we do get bids like this and quotes, it really makes you take notice and go and check to see if that's exactly what you're after. Where, I mean, over the last few years, I think we've purchased a lot of our units in town. And so, I mean, GM has a hell of a deal. So, I mean, I see no reason why we don't go ahead and buy the Chevrolet.
Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, I really am seeing none. Okay, so I'm going to call the question. All in favor? I'm not seeing a lot of hands. Opposed? I'm still not seeing a lot of hands. I must be freezing up here.
I don't think you had anybody opposed that I could see. I thought everybody's hand was up. Judy.
Yeah, I see your hand, Councillor Anderson. At least I think that's your hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to declare that motion passed, and I'm going to pass the chair back to Mayor Bridge.
Okay, thanks, Councilor Dirksen. I'll pass it over to Deputy Mayor Turton.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. We've got quite a few items here on the treasurer's docket here tonight. And so we have both Mark and Gord.
Yeah. There.
Good
Thanks,
evening.
Chair Turton.
Yeah, so let's dive right into these, Gord.
Okay, well,
So
we'll
the
start
first
with
one-
the easier ones.
Yeah, the first one is the 2019 Parkland Reserve Fund.
Right. So we've got a couple of statutory reports to begin with, and they've always been in the back of our mind. But of course, we've had a lot of more pressing matters in 2020. So I would better get this one in before the end of the year. So this is regarding the 2019 Parkland Reserve, and that's when we receive money in lieu of an actual park for a development, usually a subdivision. So all that happened this past year was we collected $4,000, earned a bit of interest, and we did not allocate any money out. So at the end of 19, we have $36,067.
Questions for Gord? Gord, it's great to see the big smile on your face. This treasury stuff gets you all excited. So,
Well, I'm happy to get things off the list, eh?
so I've got a motion by Councillor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the Treasurer's 2019 Parkland Reserve Fund report and associated financial statements regarding Parkland Reserve Fund as required by provincial legislation for information only. Questions? Hearing no questions, we'll call the question. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's carried. So the next item then has to do with the 2019 development charges.
Right.
So, and that's the reserve fund as well, Gord?
Yes, this is the reserve fund. So a little more activity in this one. And I'll just preface it by saying this year, 2019, we were still under the 2015 development charge study. So no big changes or anything there. Have a bit more information. I know the print may be a little small for those of us looking at laptops, but basically we collected about $291,000 in development charges. We received about $19,000 in interest, and we allocated out to 4 areas, and that's actually shown on the next very small print screen. So because in 2020, our development charge bylaw expired and we must do it every 5 years, we started in 2019 and we finished up in 2020. So we allocated $20,000 of admin to help with that study. We incurred $34,000 of expenses, used 20 from the reserve, another 14 from taxes to pay for that. We did some park upgrades, a little bit in Clifford and some in Palmerston at the Lions Park, roughly 100,000. So we received a lot of support from the recreation associations in those communities. That was 60. For the Clifford Fire Hall, we did intend to start that project in 2019. So we allocated 40,000 towards it, and we'll be able to use that next year, hopefully. And also for the servicing of the development in Clifford William Street for Sprint developments, we allocated 35,000. So that's what we did with the money, the 135,000 for the previous year.
Okay, so I've got a motion by Councillor McKenzie, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the 2019 Development Charge Reserve Funds for a report from the Treasurer, and further that the Council accepts the Treasurer's statement that the Town of Minto is in compliance with Section 59.1 1 in brackets of the Development Charges Act 1997, and further that the Council directs staff to post and report the related attachments on the Town of Minto website. Questions? Questions for our Treasurer? Okay, so hearing none, we'll call the question. All in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. All right, so now we're going to the 2021 rates and fees.
Okay, so this is a much larger undertaking, and I want to credit Mark Potter for doing a lot of the work here. I know Annalene's done a lot of this in the past and she helped, but Mark was involved more in talking with the various department heads and seeing what was done. Again, there's not a lot of big changes. I think Matt Luber's alluded to that. There's a bit of housekeeping. A lot of things we have just regularly previously scheduled increases and some redesignating of how things are charged. So I know we're probably going to have a bigger look at planning fees in the future when we have time. But for now, we have this, I think, very friendly user guide. So hopefully people can see what they have. And we took a hard look at what is taxable and what is not, and what's included, and trying to end up with round figures for the users too. So hopefully it's fairly understandable, but we'll entertain any questions.
Questions for Gord? I mean, there is ones here that have went up, and there's some that have went down. There's been some go up by 22 cents, stuff like that. And that all has to do with what Gord was talking about, making it easier for billing and stuff. Questions for Gord? All right. Hearing none, then we have a motion by Councillor Elliott, seconded by Mayor Bridge, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the 2021 rates and fees report from the treasurer, and further that the Council of the Town of Minto considers passage of the related bylaw in open session. No questions? All in favor of the motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. All right, so the last item here then is the budget, both the 2021 operating and capital.
Great, thanks, Chair Turton. So we know that council and staff have been working on this quite vigorously over the last 6 weeks. We had our public meeting for operating, our public meeting for the capital, and we also had our open house. Basically, out of that, we haven't made any changes from the initial forecasts and that. We always reserve the right to, modify the capital budget as new grants come in or other changes. But for now, we're looking at the original estimate. Our capital budget is still at $4,712,900. And the overall levy, so which is the dollar change. I know it's always confusing because different municipalities use different bases, but it's a 1.49% in the dollar value of the levy. And I have a nice colored pie chart there that shows where our funding for capital projects is coming from. And we were very happy that the province confirmed the Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund allocation at $506,000, which was exactly the same as the previous year. And that took away a lot of the uncertainty in our funding there. So we do have the attached bylaw, and again, we can't really say too much about tax rates. A lot of policy decisions and assessment things to come through, but this will be the budget that we're proposing.
Questions for Gord? Mayor Bridge, you're muted, my friend.
I got her now. Thanks,
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor Turton. I just want to say I'm so pleased that the staff worked so hard, and this is the first time we've ever passed our budget as early as this, Gord. I think sometimes we're into April before we get it. Now, as you know, the county one's not firm X in stone yet, but we can play with that. But they'll get theirs done in January. But I think it bodes well that we now have a game plan going into next year. I think it's a fair budget. And I just want to say thanks for putting it together and doing it. And I also say probably for the province, this is the earliest we've got all the information we need, Gord. And I mean, it would have been very difficult to do this if we wouldn't have been able to get some of that information, like the oomph and everything else in October and whatever. And other years we were into January or February waiting for that. So I give your staff, Mark, and you a lot of credit, and your group to put it together and get it done. We now can get up and get our capital going and get our RFPs out and all those things, because as you know, the first people out the door for RFPs a lot of times are the ones that'll get the best deal. So I think it's a great accomplishment. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Mary Bridge. Yeah, it's definitely a team effort. And I echo your praise of the province. Like, you know what it's been like, especially when we have like our largest grant and it's, late February. We have no idea what's coming down. So yes, this was really good. It adds some certainty.
Councillor McKenzie, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. But Gord, that's the lowest increase since 2000. And you remember that year it was 0 and it didn't work out for us. So
Oh, yeah, that's actually before my time. Yeah.
I certainly appreciate your work on this. I have one question. You said a few months ago there, we had a surplus last year. Was any of that used to offset any of the?
I'll say indirectly because any surfaces, they go back into reserves. So when we're able to take out reserves, and you'll notice quite a bit, especially in the capital fund, so it does come back. So yeah, it's kind of like a company. We don't pay out the dividends, we reinvest them into future operations.
Yeah, thanks, Gord.
Okay.
Councillor Anderson?
I'll unmute myself. I just wanted to say thank you as well. I think it's been a pretty challenging year. I think the town has done very well. It's great to see that sort of an increase. We weren't sure where we were going to be at this time. I think we've done an admirable job of maintaining services while keeping the budget in a reasonable control. And to thank you for those new budget reports. They're much easier for me to understand when I go, okay, we've halfway through the year, we've spent this much, we're good, or we need to go looking. That's the way my mind thinks of it. So thank you for those as well. And thank your team, your members for all the hard work they've done, because I know this is major work and it's easy to read, easy to understand, makes a lot of sense. And I think we've done very, very well, thanks to the hard work of the staff.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Anderson. Yeah, Mark's done a great job. And as I say, I think everybody, not just municipalities, businesses, whatever, as you know, it's been a very challenging year. And I'm very pleased with the way everybody's pulled together. And there's not too many services that didn't get completed. So that's good.
Yeah. Councillor Elliott.
Yeah, Gord, thanks again for you and the staff, and actually thanks to council too, for doing what we've done to put this budget together. I'll tell you what I like about it is our staff, when they bring their budgets, we can trust them. We know that they're not bringing extravagant things in, and they're not trying to over budget. They're not putting it in because if you don't get it, who cares? We've got too much in there anyway. They skinny it, they put it exactly where it is, and I trust them 100%. And I trust you, Gord, that when you present something to us, it's what it is. And I thank you for that. And it's much appreciated as far as myself when it comes to budgeting.
Great. Thanks, Councillor Elliott. Good to hear.
Other questions? So Gord, I think the municipalities around us are in the same boat as us. And you're saying that it has a lot to do with the commitment from our government. Is there any way we can get that word back to the government that maybe next year they can continue on the same path?
Sure, yeah. We're all on a lot of committees and boards and that. And I know normally we'd be seeing them in person a lot more, but I actually have a call tomorrow or on Thursday, and our municipal affairs rep will be on that, and have another one with our Treasurers Association. So we'll certainly indicate that. And I think it must make their life a bit easier too, if they know no big changes, And
so Gord, do you mind just going around the pie chart once and just explaining what those the big yellow one in versus the gray?
Right. So the yellow one is our grant. So that's a lot of it is our Ontario Community Infrastructure Fund one. Connecting link federal gas tax that goes in there too. And there's smaller ones such as the County Accessibility Fund and various other ones that we apply for. And again, we've got a couple of applications that we hope are in the final stages, and we'll modify that once everything's approved. Operating, that's the big blue one. That's our 900,000 from the operating fund. So that's contribution from operating. in there, and that's the same amount as for 2019. Development charges, again, it's a small amount of the share because our charges compared to the larger centers are relatively small, and the purposes that you can use them for are relatively restricted too. They're growth oriented. So our tax funded reserves, that's basically all the reserves we have that are not water and wastewater. So it could be administration, fire, economic development, roads, that, and that's almost 10%. And then the other big chunk is our water and wastewater reserves. So as you know, we have a lot of big projects to do with the care and maintenance of our water towers primarily, and replacing our mains and doing some work at the plants and that. And so again, if there's any surplus, they go into reserve, we take them back out again. So
Thank you, Gord.
The biggest-
Mayor Bridge, is there something else you want to talk about?
Nope, that's good.
Okay,
Excellent.
so I want to echo the same sentiment as everybody else, Gord.
Thank you.
Thank you on behalf of myself and everybody else, you and Mark, for doing such a great job, and your staff. You know, I agree with Councillor, you know, you don't bring the fluff, you leave it there, and we're spending what we need to spend to keep things maintained and up and running. So the recommendation is here, the Councillor Dirksen and Councillor Anderson moved in second that the council, the town of Minto receives the report from the treasurer dated December 9th, 2020 regarding 2021 operating and capital budget adoption. And further, that the council of the town of Minto considers the passage of the related bylaw in open session. No other questions? I'm going to call the question. All in favor of this motion? Against? That's unanimous, Gord. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
I'll pass the chair back to our mayor.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Turton. Well, actually, I was going to mention one thing, Deputy Mayor Turton, and a good suggestion you had was that maybe we'll send a nice note off to Minister Clark and say thank you for getting all those things into us as soon as possible. Allow us to do that. So that's a good point. We'll send a note off if that's all right. Okay, other business. I have a few. I just said you put up your hands. I didn't write them down. So who had your hand up for other business? Councillor Dirksen, did you have one?
I did, yes. Just wanted to remind everybody that Christmas is not canceled, even though it seems like everything else is. We attended the Whites Road Pentecostal Church drive-through Nativity. It was to be Saturday and Sunday evening. Saturday didn't work so well because it poured rain, so they canceled it. But Sunday evening we were there. It was extremely well done. It was a lot of work from a lot of people, and they did a great job of portraying the Christmas story. And just want to thank them all for freezing for the crowd that came out. There was a lot of cars. I haven't heard how many people were there or anything, but there was quite a lineup when we left, that's for sure. This Sunday, there's a drive-through nativity escape game at the Missionary Church in Palmerston, and that runs 1 till 5. And Christmas Eve, there are a lot of churches that have some pretty fantastic looking virtual services. That would be something to check out. Or if you're really hardy, the Missionary Church is having an outdoor event that evening. COVID precautions will be in place, and but you must RSVP in order to attend, and you can find that on the website. And this, of course, is dependent on public health continuing to approve this plan. And on behalf of our family, I would like to wish everyone a blessed Christmas and much success in 2021. And just remind you to stay smart and stay safe.
Thanks, Judy. Councillor Gudson.
Thanks, George. So just on behalf of minor hockey, since turning to red, I know a week ago we were thinking we were going to shut the arenas and no hockey would be offered. But so on behalf of minor hockey, I just want to thank Derek and Greg and Matt and all the staff and all their hard work communicating with public health and getting the gray areas put in black and white so that we could keep the arenas open. I know the kids enjoy playing hockey, and I think it's really good for them that they have something to look forward through the week. And I think we made the parents happier than the kids, that they can get the kids out of the house as well. So just thanks to Derek and Matt and the staff for that.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. Councillor McKenzie.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'd just like to acknowledge the Drew Community Board for their Christmas spirit efforts. The light fantastic at that park has never been,
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. So if you're out and about in the evening, take a look. It's wonderful.
Thanks, Councillor McKenzie. Yeah, that is amazing. What they've done there. All our parks, all the parks have done well in all three towns, and now little Drew said we can do it too. And that's one thing about Drew, as you know, you live there, Mark. I mean, they're small but mighty. They've got a lot. They have a few people, but man, they put stuff on together.
Sure do.
Yeah, good
Keep
stuff.
on trucking, yeah.
Yep, for sure. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor Turton and then
Yes,
Councillor
thank you.
Anderson.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Yeah, I just wanted to say on behalf of Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, we really appreciate the support that we received when we were discussing Bill 226 Schedule 6 from all three of the municipalities that I represent, Wellington North, Mapleton, and Minto. It was pretty interesting at the end. The bill did pass, but it didn't pass as written. So, I mean, there's a few things that changed. I think the developers in the big cities had a whole lot to do with it. And I think likely our government took a little heat. Some of the developments that could happen now, even though the conservation authorities don't endorse them and don't approve them, the minister has the right to approve them, which, so some of the questions are liability. Who's going to carry the liability when the local conservation authority says we're not endorsing that, we don't want that building or whatever to go into the floodplain, and the minister says yes, I'm given the order, I'm going to say they can go ahead, or I can tell you as the minister, as the Maitland Valley or other conservation authorities, that you're going to give them the go ahead. So one other thing that was kind of interesting was the terms of municipalities designating people to be on the conservation boards. I don't believe that the rural conservation authorities have any issues with having farming community involvement on the boards. And I mean, even if there was an issue where the local folks on the board didn't know the issues, they would go to people like Judy or other farmers and get everybody's opinion. I think that's one of the strengths of our conservation authorities. But now our government is saying you will have some, and we will designate people on the boards that we want on. So, I mean, it's, I don't think it has the big issue here in the local as down in the cities. I know to do with the terms, Hamilton and Pushlands are in the same Hamilton Conservation Authority. And so when we talk about the other issue was chairs and vice chairs, making sure that the position is passed around to different municipalities. Well, we in Maitland Valley represent 15 municipalities, so there's really never any issue with having a new chair. Well, down in Hamilton, Pushlands, and I'm using that for an example, Pushlands only has 1 or 2 representatives where Hamilton has a number of them. And so if they pass the chair back and forth each year, it's not a real easy situation. But, in talking with our chair, or not our chair, our general manager, Phil Beard, as everybody knows, he has the positive attitude where we will work with the government. I mean, we've got a majority government, and basically they're, in this situation, they're kind of doing what they want. So again, I be interesting in the next couple of years. So thank you for your support.
Thanks, Deputy Mayor Turton. Councillor Anderson. I think you're
Okay.
already
Yeah.
unmuted. Yeah.
Make sure I was on. I would just like to wish from David and I to everybody in the community a happy and a healthy Christmas season and New Year. Please remember to be safe and to be careful and follow the guidelines. And again, thanks to Derek and Matt and Greg at the arena. They're allowing us to go forward with our dinner with all the precautions in place. Limited number of volunteers, masks, gloves, hand washing, all the rest of it. Most of the meals will be, well, they'll all be picked up. Few people need delivery. And hopefully that will bring a bit of Christmas cheer to some of the people who aren't able to get out or don't have anybody to be with. And I think everybody is just adapting to the situation, but it's certainly going to be a different Christmas. But the sentiments are the same. We wish you all a Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Elliott. No, there you are.
I got it. I just wanted to express my gratitude to the county, and especially you, Mr. Mayor, and Councillor Anderson for supporting and getting the lights up at the S-Bends. I know it's not in our community of Minto for sure, but you people were behind, I'm sure, supporting it and talking big about it. We're getting lights there. I hear in a few years we may even get a roundabout, but at least I think the lights will save a lot of lives and save a lot of accidents at that corner. And I certainly appreciate it, and thanks very much. And from Elaine and I, Merry Christmas. Hope everybody does well over Christmas. And it's going to be hard, but we got to almost stay safe and make sure we're doing the right things. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Elliott. And I'm just going to wrap it up and say thank you to the council, the staff. This has been a trying year, 2020. I don't think we signed up realizing how tough it was going to be with all the different things we've had to do with Zoom meetings and all the extra meetings we put in and whatever. But I think you've stepped up to the plate. You've done an amazing job as a council, and the staff has done an amazing job. I'm so proud of you, and you can be proud of yourself when you're talking to your people out in the in our towns and township. And I give them a lot of credit for working with us in order to try to get through this. And as I said at the beginning of the meeting, the light is at the end of the tunnel. I don't think it's a train. I think it's good, and we're going to get through it. And hopefully by next summer, early fall, we'll be back to a near normal, and we can start to get together. And I've said to the staff, we might have to have Christmas in September next year just to make up for the Christmas we didn't have here. But I'm with Councillor Anderson. Really, if you can make sure that you follow the rules and regulations, we don't want to put our healthcare under the gun by having big Christmas parties and other things. And I think we're not doing that, but by not doing it and making sure that we can keep the level of spread down until we get the vaccines out here. And I'm real hopeful that's coming sooner than later. And just have a safe holiday. All right. Deputy Mayor Turton, are you
Yes,
having a follow-up, or did
yeah,
I not give you one?
No, you did. So I don't think the folks in Minto realize what our leader does and has done over the last year. I mean, Mayor Bridge, you've I believe you've carried the load for us. I mean, sometimes this year it makes you wonder, heck, am I still on council? You've done a great job of, you and our staff and Derek have done a great job of keeping us all informed, making those tough decisions. And, you know, collectively, we're a good group, but
Yep.
you were the leader, and we thank you for that.
Well, thanks, David, for that. And that's it for that little wrap up. And then any notice of motion, and we'll get into bylaws. And then we have a treat for everybody. We're going to sing our normal Christmas song, and we're going to do it in Zoom harmony, which is going to be really scary. Anyways, so is there any notice of motion? Seeing none, I'll go into the bylaws. Okay. Moved by Councillor Gunson, second by Councillor McKenzie, that the bylaw number 2020-83 to authorize the execution of the transfer payments agreement for the Investing in Canada Infrastructure Program, ICIP, Rural and Northern Stream, be introduced and read first and second and third time and passed in open council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Opposed? None? Passed. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Elliott, bylaw number 2020-84 to adopt the estimates of all sums requiring required during 2021 for the purpose of the municipality be introduced, read first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Dirksen, bylaw number 2020-85 to establish fees and charges for various services provided by the municipality be introduced, read first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with seal of the corporation. All in favor? And moved by Councilor Anderson. Oh, wait a minute. No, hang on here. Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Gunson. The bylaw number 2020-86 to confirm the actions of the council of the corporation of Town of Minto be introduced, read first, second, and third time, passed in open council, seal with seal of the corporation. All in favor? And just before adjournment, Derek, did you want to say anything? I just thought of that. We should have let you said something on behalf of the staff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of council. So on behalf of staff, I just want to thank council for all their support as we try to navigate what has been undoubtedly a very year that nobody would have predicted. You know, just from a personal note, I started on January 20th, and I think we were in a lockdown 8 weeks later, and nowhere did I ever think that I would be coming back to municipal life in that situation, but it's been absolutely tremendous. This council is like no other, and their support for staff and helping us navigate through these difficult times. So on behalf of staff, I'd like to thank council for all their support as we've moved through what has been a very memorable year. And just on a personal level, I'd like to thank all my staff. They are tremendous folks. And, you know, I'm looking forward to bigger and better things for 2021, I think, as we all are. And I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you and yours a very, very Merry Christmas. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, now is everybody ready for this? We do this before we do the adjournment, Annaline, right?
You can adjourn first if you'd like, and then you can go ahead.
Okay, well, I'll do the adjournment first. Nobody leave now, just because I adjourn. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Deputy Mayor Turton. The Council of Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. Okay, you ready? Who wants to start us off, Judy?
No, I was going to approve, I mean.
Oh, approve that. We're all for that? All for that? Okay. All right.
And we have.
What are we singing? What are we singing?
We wish you Merry, what is?
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
And everybody needs to unmute.
Yeah, unmute everybody. Ron, unmute. I know you.
I didn't get the memo about the hats.
Well, we did. That was just a spur of the moment thing, Gene. Is everybody unmuted? Councilor McKenzie, you got to sing. You might be our surprise singer. Okay. So who's going to start it off? Judy, you going to start it off?
I can start. We wish you a Merry Christmas, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
We wish you
a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Oh, that was brutal. That was brutal. You know what? It's the IT guy. He's not doing a very good job. Anyways, Merry Christmas, everybody, and a Happy New Year. And stay safe.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Bye, everybody.